iPad. Get yourself an iPad. Well, you want to get an iPad Air maybe? iPad. I think you should get an iPad. I think you should get the iPad Pro if you're being really luxurious. No, an iPad Air or an iPad 9th generation for you. Well, that used to be my standard default response if anyone asked me whether they should pick up a new tablet and which one it should be, because there wasn't much competition from the Android guys. But then a few weeks ago, we saw the OnePlus Pad, exclusively a first look and a review on Tech Today. And we were in the Delhi studio with the team, and all of us, with the colors on that, the output and the performance, mind equal to blown with what OnePlus had done with its tablet. And then every time there's a revolution coming, well, you need a captain of the ship, but it's nice to have, well, two pilots in the cockpit. And what if I told you that I just found my second pilot to drive the Android tablet revolution forward, the Xiaomi Pad 6. And honestly, the iPad has a lot of competition with this monster. Look, taking on the iPad is not an easy task. When it comes to software, iPadOS is spot on. Can it get better? Maybe become more like macOS? That's a pipe dream. Android has a long way to go, but that's nothing to blame the Android tablet guys. It's Google that needs to work on that. From the hardware side, that's where companies like Xiaomi and OnePlus can come in. And yes, the OnePlus Pad look good, but this particular device looks like a Xiaomi 13 Pro from the outside with this camera module. It has a 13 megapixel shooter. In terms of design, yes, it's an 11-inch screen. I'll tell you a little bit more about the display. You have a speaker setup here and then down here as well. Of course, it comes with Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos support in a tablet, which I'm telling you now comes at a very attractive price. But if you're taking on the iPad, no fingerprint scanner or Touch ID, and of course, no headphone jack in the Pad 6. But when we're talking about this particular sort of form factor, what's really good now, and we're going to come to the display, is that they've given you a camera here in landscape mode. So if you placed it on a keyboard, which is an add-on accessory with this particular device, then when you are looking at the camera or at your subject during a Zoom call, you're not looking away from them, as opposed to on the iPad. I always end up looking a little weird and wonky in terms of my line of sight or vision. With this particular device, the display is something we must talk about. Yes, it's an LCD display, but it is capable of a lot. But since we're talking about this particular layout, yes, it comes with an LCD display. It's not an AMOLED, but with Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos support at this price point, watching content on it is almost comparable to an iPad Air. Now, as I was saying, this particular device comes with a 2.8K resolution IPS LCD screen, and yes, it's not an AMOLED panel, but it comes with Dolby Vision HDR streaming and of course Dolby Atmos support. And most importantly, it now comes with a 144 Hz adaptive refresh rate. So if you are multitasking on this or using different sort of apps with different refresh rates, this particular tablet gets the job done. Now, in terms of RAM and ROM, you get two particular variants of this Xiaomi tablet. One's a 6GB paired with a 128GB storage, and then an 8GB RAM with a 256GB storage. Now, both of these guys run on Snapdragon 870, and honestly, it gets the job done in all departments. Whatever you want to do, I haven't seen any noticeable lag with this particular device. It is smooth. The 144 Hz adaptive refresh rate is also quite a sight for sore eyes, and everything about it looks like a mini iPad. But in terms of an aspect ratio, it's very different from an iPad or the OnePlus tablet. It is a lot more rectangular than square, if I can put it that way. But if you're watching cinematic content, then maybe this makes a lot more sense. When you're talking about a OnePlus tablet or an iPad, my 2 pence is that they are geared not only for content, but for multitasking and performance. This one, for some reason, seems like it is geared towards content, and that's not a bad thing. No matter what you do with the hardware, it is the software that counts. Now, with the Apple ecosystem of things, of course, they have iPadOS, but that's the only product that they are catering to within their ecosystem. With Android, it's a different story, and I don't know how invested Google is in building Android tablets. Now, of course, with the Pixel tab. They will have to work on that. But it is the skins that we worry about in terms of bloatware, what these manufacturers like OnePlus and Xiaomi and the others would be doing as a layer on top of it that might make these a lot easier to use. There are a bunch of things that Xiaomi has done with Mi UI, which is placed on top of this, which make this an absolute breeze to use. Multitasking is great. They've tried to do things within the Xiaomi ecosystem. If you're using a Xiaomi device as well, you can drag and drop things onto this particular tablet. So there I feel until Google really steps in and ups their game, it is incumbent on these tech companies to innovate. And Xiaomi has done just that with this particular tablet. Also, in terms of giving you security updates and software updates, they're giving you 3 years of software updates and 5 years of security updates on this particular device. Well, honestly, when I heard this had an LCD display, I did have a few reservations, but now when I'm watching content on it, this particular aspect ratio, 144Hz refresh rate, Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, this 4-speaker setup on the Xiaomi Pad 6, it does a stellar job when you're watching content, and I can see myself using this on flights and stuff like that because it's the perfect size to maybe slip into your laptop sleeve pocket or even in your hand baggage. And it really is quite a good display, even though it's an LCD display. But that's of course if you're watching OTT content on this particular device. If you want this to be a productivity device, you'll have to purchase 2 accessories. Number 1 being the keyboard, and number 2 being this particular stylus or pencil. Now, in terms of the keyboard, well, it's an added accessory with no trackpad. And for me, that is a little bit concerning because I'm so used to using the Magic Keyboard. But even if you're talking in Apple parlance, well, the Magic Keyboard only comes for devices iPad Air and above. So if you're comparing this to the standard iPad, you don't get a keyboard for all those astronomical sums of money with a trackpad. So if you want to replace your laptop experience, then you need to have a very standard sort of a keyboard, the smart keyboard for the iPad. And well, Xiaomi has that as well. The keyboard does a great job there. I find it very interesting that the pencil works fine, very low latency. I could write your favorite technology showdown in less than, well, 5 seconds. And it also has these 2 buttons over here. I don't know if you can see them, which I found quite interesting. Like on the Apple Pencil, you can tap it twice and then of course, use other functions, maybe an eraser. This one also does stuff like that with 2 buttons. You can also use that to maybe take a screenshot or any sort of thing that you program it to do. And that is quite a cool addition. And then when you're done, just like other tablets, you can place it right on top over here and it begins to charge as well. So this setup is great for designers and if you want to have some fun with the Xiaomi Pad 6, but then if you want to get a little more serious, then you need to purchase the keyboard. Now the keyboard cover that I'm talking about costs nearly 5,000 rupees, and then this smart pen costs 5,000 to 6,000 rupees as well, which snaps on quite well over here. If you're using this entire setup, you're going to have to purchase these additionally over and above the Xiaomi tablet. Now let's get to the price and then you'll get a simple one-line verdict as well. Now in terms of the price, this tablet costs anywhere between 27 to 29,000 rupees. You can get a bunch of offers and maybe bring that down to 24, 25,000 rupees depending on which version you're getting, the 6 gigs of RAM or 8 gigs of RAM. And if you add on both accessories, the pen and the keyboard, that's another 11,000 rupees. So in under 40,000 rupees, you could get the entire setup with all the bells and whistles in the Xiaomi ecosystem, as compared to maybe an iPad. If you bought an iPad with its keyboard and pencil, you'd be spending a lot more. But yes, when you're comparing it to the other Android tablets, even the OnePlus Pad for that matter, 1, you'd be saving money, 2, it honestly gets the job done. It's a value for money offering. In Tech Today parlance, the Xiaomi Pad is a step in the right direction and truly a bang for your buck.